Hello to everybody out in Maryland's beautiful 8th Congressional District. It's your congressman coming to you this final week of June. So I thought there would be nobody better to have on as a local hero than my constituent and an esteemed member of the Capitol Police Department, Private First Class Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you.
Well, so psyched for you to be here, Harry. Officer Dunn's a 14-year veteran of the force. He, of course, defended the Capitol on January 6, 2021, which I know well, my family knows well, lots of my constituents know well, and really a lot of Americans know well, because he has spoken so forcefully and so beautifully about what happened to us on that day, about what was at stake. He's also spoken about the trauma that he and fellow officers suffered on that day, and he has been a powerful advocate for breaking the stigma around people getting mental health services and counseling when they go through a trauma like this. He also trained Officer Carolyn Edwards, who millions of people watched testify before the Select Committee on our first week of hearings. Officer Dunn grew up in Prince George's County, but he is a resident of Montgomery County. He lives in the heart of Maryland's beautiful 8th District. Welcome, Harry, and thank you so much for being our local hero.
Thank you for all that. I appreciate you, Congressman, and I am honored and elated to be on with you, also an American hero. So thank you.
Well, look, first of all, why don't we go back to January 6th and give us a synopsis of where you were and what you were doing, how you helped other people, and how you survived.
Yeah, so, working at the Capitol in 14 years, going on 15 in November, we've dealt with, I would say safely to say more than 1,000 protests, First Amendment protests, where people come up here and lobby their members of Congress. They engage in civil disobedience. We've arrested congressmen. For the great John Lewis was arrested by Capitol Police for exercising his First Amendment, and it was a civil disobedience. So we assumed going into that day that it was just going to be a lot of people expressing their First Amendment rights to, petition their congressmen and the government. Little did we not know is that as we're learning through these hearings, that the former president would launch a mob upon us, and we would be faced with some of the toughest days of our lives that we've ever experienced, that some of us officers experienced. I have several coworkers that served abroad in the military, and they said that January 6th was the worst days of their life, serving their country. So, I just thought it was going to be a normal day, but it turned out that everybody saw what happened. And I was in a position to be able to assist officers as they were getting attacked by the mob. They were getting sprayed, they were getting beaten. And I was in a position to help decontaminate them and try to get them back functioning so they can get back into the fight and continue defending the Capitol.
Yeah, and you were out on the West Front when the crowd really became a mob and began to attack the officers and try to smash their way into the building. What was your experience of that moment when you realized that you guys were under attack?
So we didn't have the opportunity or the luxury to understand where it was coming from and why it was coming from, but we just knew that we heard the voices of the individuals yelling and screaming that this is our house and Donald Trump sent us here. This is our country and the election was stolen. So we had a sense of why it was happening. But being out there on the West Front, I initially responded over there because I heard an officer call out on the radio in a frantic, screaming, panicking voice, "Send us more help, send us more help." And when I ran around there, I saw the size of the mob, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. They all were advancing from the ellipse where the president and a few of his allies gave speeches about descending upon the Capitol. And it just turned into a all-out brawl. And we heard calls that the Capitol had been breached, and people were just called. So all the officers were outside fighting on the front lines, trying to keep them from out But these rioters, they surrounded the Capitol, they flanked it. They were entering from all sides and all wings. So us officers had to fall back inside and help defend inside the Capitol. And it was truly overwhelming. So,
And tell us, did it compare to anything else you'd ever seen in your work at the Capitol?
I've never seen anything like that. Like I said, this is something that you would expect to see in an action thriller on Netflix or something, but this was actually happening in real life, and it was just unbelievable.
And when you mentioned before that there are members of Congress who participated in civil disobedience, like our late beloved John Lewis, they never attacked the police. They basically just said, in order to demonstrate my passion about gun violence or whatever the issue is, I'm going to stand someplace I shouldn't be, and then willfully submit to arrest. Is that right?
Correct. We call that civil disobedience. So as you know, they're being disobedient, but they're doing so in a civil manner. Like we gave them their warnings and we told them they would be subject to arrest. And, you know, they said, we understand that, we are willing to be arrested. And they literally would turn around and place their hands behind their back without any incident. So,
yeah. And whereas this was an attempt to wound, injure, kill officers.
Correct. Like in comparison, they had a group that descended upon the Capitol when the Judge Kavanaugh hearings were when Judge Kavanaugh was being confirmed, and it was about 200-300 people, and they marched up the rotunda steps, some of them holding hands and singing hymns, and they sat down on the steps and they asked to be arrested. Whereas, you know, on the 6th, these people beat us and overrun us. And they took over. They attempted to take over, but we held strong and we held the line. So,
well, look, I wanted to ask you about what's happened since January 6th. You were someone who was very outspoken from the beginning about the horrors that took place. You have rejected any efforts to whitewash and sanitize what took place. You want people to remember this was 5 or 6 hours of violence and mayhem and brawling and bloodshed. But you also have been working to tend to people's mental wounds. And I wonder if you would just say a word about why that's so important to you, to give the officers, as well as the other staff people, other people who were working that day, the opportunity to talk together about what happened.
You know, I've had several people come up to me, even as recent as today, and just thanking me for being a voice when they're unable to be one. And that just means so much to me. You know, I'm doing the speaking out part because it's important to me, but I see that other people need it, other people are hurting, and I take great pride and honor in that people look up to me and just thanking me for just saying what they're feeling. So I like to give, you know, the opportunity so everybody focuses on the Capitol Police that were attacked that day, you know, but the entire America was attacked, and especially the congressional community. There are a lot of people that work that this is their office. They spend more time here than they do at their home. And I think it's important to remember that and have those people not necessarily relive their trauma, but take control of it. You know, this is a tight community. And it's very important that, you know, people know that, hey, we're here for you. We went through it also, and we support you. And I think that's why it's so important for me, because a lot of people going through something like this tragic, it's easy to feel alone. And I just want to make people know that you're not alone.
Well, look, you were an officer of exceptional valor and courage on that day. You saved a lot of people. You definitely participated in saving my life, my colleagues' life, people in my family. You know, Tabitha was there and Hank was there. And but you have shown equal courage in a moral sense, in speaking out about the importance of people being able to talk about what happened and tell the truth about what happened, both for the country, but also for our individual healing and recovery. So for all these reasons, Officer Harry Dunn, Officer Private First Class, you are a first-class citizen too. You're our local hero in Montgomery County in Maryland's beautiful 8th District this last week of June. And thank you for hanging tough, for always hanging tough for the people.
Thank you so much, Congressman. It's an honor to talk with you, and I appreciate that recognition. Thank you so much.